What's up, guys, and welcome to another video. And today we'll be looking at my new rune showcase. So I've redone a lot of runes during the last rune removal, and I've only just gotten time to actually do a video and show you guys. So first off, my Megan. So I've changed her to this build, Will Nemesis Endure. No real reason for the Endure set. It would actually be better if it was on Nemesis instead. But the reason to put it on this build is so that it helps counter Leo teams when I'm going on offense. So what will happen is Leo will target Megan because she's the only water unit in my team. And when that happens, he'll attack her, do a bit of damage, and that damage will boost her attack by a little bit because of the Nemesis runes. And despite her being slower than a typical Bernard or Orion, she'll get the move first because she's gained that extra attack bar right after Leo has moved. And the Will rune is to protect against Leo's pushback. So therefore, against Bernard Leo ADs, I could bring Megan and Lucian's, and I'll be able to move first. Doesn't matter that my Megan is slow. So yeah, that's that build. Chronomere I've re-runed for PvP. I don't use him a lot, but I wanted him there in case I wanted to use him, basically. Because he is useful because he's a cleanser. He heals for a bit and he stuns. So he's good for like those, like if I want to run like a tanky sort of comp. The runes on him are not very good, like they're pretty bad actually, because I didn't really give him like a very high priority on runes. But before he was working with this sort of stats, so I just sort of gave him something similar. Shaolin. So Shaolin, I made her a little bit tankier. You might be able to notice that her defense is very high. It's like 1300 defense, and she's got pretty good HP. Despite being on a attack crit damage attack build, and it's pretty much like because I gave her the best quality runes I could from Vampire and Revenge as well, and I made her for the Frontline in R5, right? That's why the original intention was. It just so happened that she works pretty well in the new raids as well with this build. Because she does a lot of damage, right? With like a lot of burst damage with her procs, like off the first skill and also her third skill. And when she does that, she pretty much heals herself to full health. Well, like definitely with the third skill, she heals herself to full health, and she can just keep herself alive very easily. So she can tank Frontline for a lot of the new raids and also do a lot of damage as well. So she's actually one of my most favorite units now. Okay, I re-runed Ariel just because like his old runes had to move to other units, so I just gave him another set of violent runes that got him to like a decent amount of speed, decent amount of tankiness, and it's just so that I have the option of using a water healer when I need specifically a water healer, because obviously I prefer to use Chasun, right, as my main healer, but for instances where the element matters, I'm using Ariel, like where I need very heavy sustain. Whereas, because I still have Praha, but Praha has only got a one-time heal and she's not violent, so she doesn't have a very high healing output, whereas Ariel does. So he sort of suits a team where I'm tanking through a lot of damage, right? Okay, Orion, I've changed Orion so that he's on a violent build. He used to be on Swift for the longest time, but I decided to give him violent for AD Guild Wars defense purposes, right? I think on Guild Wars defense he's a lot better on violent than Swift, because typically the fights should go a bit longer, especially if you're running like him in like a very tanky team with like a beast monk or things like Veromos or anything like that. and because of that, I decided to try him out on Violent. I wanted to give him as much speed and HP as possible. It's definitely worse than what I would have on Swift. On Swift, he has a lot more HP and speed, of course. But so far, he's doing okay. I'm not sure if I'll keep it on this build, but for now, I'll give it a go. Alright, so this is my first Rune, and this is the Rune that I would use on Guild Wars offense. Sometimes I might want to tank something like a Windmuck King or a Sierra. I use this Rune, and the sets I gave her Will, Shield, and Destroy. So these are all sort of utility based runes. So for Will, of course, it's to protect her turn 1 against things like Gallion and also Sierra. The shield is so that she can carry the shield set for my team. You know, because I run up a lot of Violent Will sort of units for Guild Wars offense, and I try to use units that don't really need a specific 4-piece set to carry the shield set to protect against Orions, or mostly Orions. And and the Destroy is just so that it just gives a little bit extra utility. So in case the fight goes long, she can slowly destroy HP. That way, makes it easier. Like it's nice to have it on someone, even someone does very low damage, because Guild Wars, you don't really have to worry about time, right? Unless you're doing a Guild Wars rush. But for most people, you're just going to do like one war every 12 hours. So I mean, you can spend as long as you want on a fight, and eventually you wear down the HP, right? So it's nice to usually have at least one guy that has Destroy in case the fight goes really long, or maybe like your DPS trades off each other, right? That might happen, and you just need someone to help destroy the HP, so that someone like, say, Tsarion, who does like okay damage, but generally not enough to out DPS, say, a Chasun healer, then at least you can slowly destroy the HP. So this is my second Rune, and this is just for occasionally I might use double Rune for a stall defense on rush hour for the last 5 minutes. So I basically just wanted to give her a will set, and then apart from other than that, just as much HP as possible. And the reason that it's on focus, even though she doesn't benefit from focus, it's just because of this rune that has a lot of HP on it, and also defense. So I wanted to make her as tanky as I possibly could. Okay. Alright, so Sigmaris. I ruined Sigmaris as a DPS. Originally, he had a different rune set, but I had to take those runes off him for other units, and then I rebuilt him again. I seem to do this like basically every rune removal. He always changes because of that. But I just sort of gave him like some spare runes so that I can at least use him as a DPS occasionally. And I use him in Dragons B10 as a damage dealer. Like, it's for my safe Dragons B10 team, and he can be used in the new raids, especially the fire one. He's pretty decent for that. So anyone looking for a unit that has an AoE to clear the minions, the fire raid, don't forget Sigmaris. He's easy to obtain. He's fusible, very easy to rune because he's got crit rate from Awakening, right? So, and even for the new raid, because it's everything is fire, right? You only need 85% crit rate, which is really easy to get if just with the blade set, right? You don't really need a lot of crit rate substats for that to get it to to 85 crit rate. So pretty good for as like a beginner fire raid unit. Okay, this is my galleon. So this is the first galleon, and I made him sort of like semi-tanky, right? And one of the reasons to take him off crit rate, because originally he was on crit rate, one of the reasons for that is because in PvP, because I use him on arena offense, like he was always critting against Camilla and Rina, and I didn't actually want him to do that, so I took him off crit rate and just gave him a HP instead to make him a bit more resilient. Sometimes it matters, like, you know, to make him a bit tankier. It also helps for HOH. So if I'm using Gallion or trying to use like a Gallion for a speed run, then I want him to be at least a little bit tanky, because otherwise he'll just die too easily. Okay, so Fuel Mars, I haven't changed these runes at all. This is like one of the very few units that I haven't changed, so I'll just show them real quick. And these sort of runes work pretty well. He's like pretty tanky, or decently tanky, and does like pretty okay damage. I prioritize him for runes as well, because he's one of my main, PvP units, for at least for Guild Wars. Okay, this is Purion. So Purion is very easy to rune because he doesn't really need a lot of crit rate, because his skills gain a lot of bonus crit rate, and he is also a he buffs crit rate on himself as well. So for that reason, you can just focus a lot on speed, but I also like to give him some damage stats. So attack percent and crit damage stats are really nice for him, so that he can hit really hard. He can like one shot some units, right, with defense break and attack power buff. I usually use him along with Raki, so that to kill Perna teams basically. And yeah, he's a pretty good unit for that, for Guild Wars at least, because you wouldn't bring him against something like Orion or Bernard, but any other unit, like any other team that's like a mid-range sort of team, for example Gallion, Perna, Praha, that's one of the teams I would bring Purion Raki against. That team doesn't have much threat, right, apart from say Gallion. If it's a YOLO Gallion, your Purion can one-shot it. If it's a tanky Gallion, then he won't kill your Purion too easily, because Purion is very squishy, right? It doesn't have a lot of HP. Okay, this is the first Tark. I've rebuilt Tarks to try to use them for speed DB10s, and for speed DB10, you actually don't really need them to be on Violent, right? You just need them to do a lot of damage. It's better to give them like higher quality runes of like a non-violent set, rather than stretching your violent runes even thinner. And I think they're good on attack, crit damage, attack if you can, because you want them to do burst damage, but you can do speed, crit damage, attack if you want. It's more about speed syncing your Dragon's B10 team. So for me, I wanted to get them all around like a 180 speed range, so that what will happen is they'll move after my tour, and then after that way, if they bring Tor to if they use the group hunt with Tor, he'll get the cooldown reduction on his Squall and even his Crush as well. Okay, and you also only need 85% crit rate to crit the boss, right? So you don't actually need to max crit rate. The only things that will matter in Dragon's B10 for max crit rate are the crystals, but they're not that important. And what's most important is bursting down the dragon himself, because that's the hardest part, really, in my opinion. You want to burst him down before he gets immunity, or at least do as much damage as possible so that you can finish him off. So yeah, that's why he's ruined that way. This is my Stella. So Stella, I re-ruined like to put her in raids again, or at least just in case I can fit her in. But I might actually re-run her back to Violent soon, because I think she's really good for the new raids, right? Especially the fire one and maybe even the water one, because she's a defense break on skill 1, which is really important for the groggy stage, right? And she can also brand, which is really nice for doing really high scores on the new raids, as long as you can kill the boss. So I might change her back to Violent so that she has more chances of doing the debuffs, which is what I really want to bring her for. Okay, Varad. So Varad, I finally found a Violent set for him, and I've been trying him out on this sort of build Violent Will, and he's doing pretty well. Like I put him on defense mostly, and he's sort of there as like a support that does like a little bit of damage, not a lot because he's only got one defense rune and he's not on crit damage, but I wanted him to be semi-tanky so that he can at least survive a Lucian's amp, right? And yeah, so he's there as like a support to do absolute zero to CC them, while my tanky bruisers like Kumar will do the damage. Praha, she's gotten some slight upgrades, especially to her speed. So now she's at 240 speed, right? She used to be about 236 from memory. So she gained a little bit from that. I think I found one new rune. I can't remember which one it was. And I upgraded some of her speed with grinds. Like I sort of overrode some of the grinds to try to get her as fast as I could. That way, like she has the best chance of interrupting against things like Devolution. Okay, so this is my second gallion. This gallion, I built him for Dragon's B10, right? So I made him an attacker, right? But also with high accuracy. That's why he's gonna have accuracy on slot 6. Ideally, he would be on like attack crit rate, speed crit rate attack or something like that. But I don't have enough accuracy on substats right now because I generally don't keep accuracy substat runes or right unless they have good speed on them. So I just put accuracy on slot 6 for the time being. Okay, so this is my Tor. Tor hasn't gotten any changes. Actually, he's only got one rune change, and that was a slot 2. I remember distinctly because the old rune was almost the same as this, except it was like I think he only gained about 5% attack percent, right? But you know, an upgrade's an upgrade, so yeah, I want him to do as much damage as possible, so I switched that around with his old rune, and yeah, the rest of his stats were basically the same. He's still max crit rate and 200 speed. I also want to get him a little bit faster, but I haven't really found any upgrades for him yet in that department. Okay, Beth, I re-rune her actually after raids. I spent the mana for it. I rune her so that she can be used in the fire raid, because one of the good things about Beth is that actually did I accidentally call her Raki before? Anyway, for my Beth, one of the good things about her is that she does she has a 2-turn AoE, or sorry, a cooldown, a 2-turn cooldown AoE, right, on her second skill. Right, so she can do AoE very often, which is really nice for clearing the ads on the fire raid. Right, that allows me to do fairly safe runs. Right, what I think I need to do though is change her slot 2 to a speed rune, and that way she has a better chance of clearing the trash all the time, or the additional summons. Right, because sometimes I do still fail, and I don't know. I'm not sure if it's because Raki's too slow. But I'm going to look into that. I'll be fiddling around with runes later on. Okay, this is the second tark. So usually most people for speed runs these days on Dragon's B10 will use 2 tarks, right? And like I said, for the other tark, you don't really need to use violent. Just give him like good broken sets, or like a good swift set. Fatal or rage is fine too. You can give him anything, right? Any DPS set, as long as it's got good quality substats, and just get into like a good amount of speed, and then obviously as much damage as possible. I haven't really been using the double tark team like recently, because one of the annoying things was I used so during rune removal I was testing the run, and it was like succeeding basically all the time. I only failed maybe once every 2 refills, and I was pretty happy with that sort of consistency. Then after rune removal, my team just started failing all over the place, and I got sick of it, so I switched back to my safe team, and I'm gonna revisit the team again later. I think I just need to fix up the speed sinking a little bit, and also try to get the runes like. I probably want to give them like a proper set. I think it'll be easier once I get some fight runes, right? That's what I'm mainly looking for. If I can get some fight runes on the Tarks, it'll be probably that's probably my best bet at making that run a lot more safer. Okay, this is Miyang. So Miyang, I recently 6-starred, and basically what I did was I waited until the HOH announcement. Unfortunately, it wasn't Skydancer, alright, so I decided I'll just bite the bullet and 6-star her. Right, because I was sort of waiting in case they made the Skydancer the HOH, and therefore I could farm a few, like level them to 5-star, and then use the 5 stars to feed to my Miyang, so, to get the skill ups at the same time. But I guess I really wanted to test her out, so I 6-starred her, and she's been pretty nice for raids so far, R5, and I do use her in a couple of the new raids as like a healer that does damage as well. Right, I think that both both Miyang and Huahi are really good for raids. Right, so Skydancers, all of them are very useful for all of the raids. Okay, so this is my Bastet. So I only really sometimes use her for R5, and I use her in R5 when no one has a defense lead. Alright, I prefer not to use her because she makes my team less stable. Right, because I have to replace Diaz for it, and but basically I gave her a DPS set because she's already very naturally quite tanky. So if I give her some tanky substats, then she's already, surviving quite easily. So instead I just gave her as much DPS as I could while still being quite tanky, and that way she can at least do a little bit of damage, right? It's not a lot of damage at all, right? It's actually very bad, but it's better than doing nothing else, right? So I decided just to build her that way. I might rebuild her later. I might actually build her like a speed build instead, so that I use her as more of a debuffer instead. I mean, personally, I like doing a lot of damage. Right, I like fast runs, but I mean, she's been very lackluster, so I might probably change her later on. Okay, Psamathe, I've changed him to be on Nemesis instead of Will. Alright, so I was trying this out for AD. I'm not sure how much I like it. I think the Will Rune build might be a little bit better, especially for arena offense, because sometimes I'll so I might get outsped, right, and a unit will hit my Psamathe, and it will push him forward ahead of my gallion, and it's really awkward when that happens. So I'm not sure if I'll change it or not. See, there's like pros and cons to both Will and Nemesis. So the benefit of Nemesis is that when you're put him on an AD, if he dies, right, he'll gain a whole bunch of attack bar because he's quite squishy, right? And when he revives, he'll come back with his attack bar, right, whatever it was before. And because of the Nemesis rune, he'll have a lot, right? He'll have a lot of overflow, so he should cut in. And when that happens, like, he'll do his Rageful return. Does an AoE, and then he does his own AoE from the second skill, so it's like double AoE. Right, it's a lot of. It can be a lot of damage, especially against very squishy comps. So things like Seek and Zyros, they'll die to that. Obviously, Zyros could reset the piece armor, but if it happens to resist, that's like the most important thing, right? Just the threat of resisting again, like resisting the Zyros reset. I think some people might think twice between, whether they would Zyros it. But then on the other hand, the Will Runes, if I had a Will Runes, right, it would protect against Zyros if they were faster than me. If I'm faster than them, then I might stun them or kill them, like the Zyros first. So yeah, that's like, it's hard to say which one's better. So I was trying out, see how it goes. I think it's okay. Like it's good in a lot of circumstances, but it's not. There's no clear winner, I'd say. So I'll probably look more towards which one gives me the best stats. And I think I have better will runes, but we'll see. I'll probably see again next time I do rune removal. Okay, so this is Alicia. So I re-runed Alicia because I had to move some runes around, so I had to rebuild her a bit. But she's just on a bunch of broken sets just to get her to the damage that I wanted. I tried testing her out before as a slow nuker, but I didn't really like that sort of team. Like I'm just the sort of guy that doesn't like to concede turn 1, right? So I changed it back to like a speed Alicia, and using her in my speed AO again. Right, so I've only just gotten through water, so I'm gonna try to like cover this a lot more quicker than before. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through this real quick, and this is my Sig. Actually, Sig didn't really change at all, so there's not much for me to talk about on him. So yeah, this is his stats. I obviously just use him for devolution, right, to buff. Okay, this is the first Ralk. I didn't touch Ralk stats. My Necro team I pretty much didn't touch, apart from Huahi. Okay, so let's go through this real quick. This is the Ralk I would use if I use him in PvP, right? Because this one's the tankiest one, and just the best stats, right, between the two. Okay, this is my Chloe. So Chloe, I use her sometimes on arena offense. So not arena offense, Guild Wars offense with Fuel Mars. So she's synced so that she moves straight after Fuel Mars does, and she's the holder of the shield set because against things like Fuel Mars, Orion, Chasun, I would usually bring Chloe in against that, so that way she can hold the shield runes for them. And destroy is just like in case the game stalls out, I can destroy, right? Same sort of idea as the arena. I like this sort of build a lot on my Guild Wars offense units these days. Okay, so Beretta's moons got moved around before. He used to be a bit faster, but yeah, like I sort of prioritized the runes like elsewhere, and he's got about, I think, the third best despair set or something. But he's got pretty good speed still and decent HP, and it's just for TOA hard really. Okay, this is my Verd. So Verd's changed because he's noticeably slower, right? He's also on a DPS build. Previously he was like 200-ish speed on Violent Revenge, right, in a tanky build. But actually changing to attack crit damage, attack crit rate attack, and that's just to make him do more damage in Dragon's B10. It was for like the speed run actually, but now I switch back to the slow run. He actually sometimes dies, but even if he dies in my safe run, like it will still clear, just a bit slower. Okay, Randy, I actually just re-rune him. I spent the mana to re-rune him too. I re-rune him for the Dark Raid. The Dark Raid. And the reason is because he does a lot of multi-hits, especially on Violent, so that he can help remove sort of break free the unit that gets imprisoned. And he also does defense buff, which is nice to help survive the AoE. But it doesn't always work well because if I don't have the defense buff, I just die. And I can't really make it reliable because, you know, people like all my units are pretty much on Violent for the multi-hits, and they'll just proc themselves out of the defense buff sometimes, so it's still not that reliable, but I built him to try him out for that. Right? He is pretty good for that. I'm just trying to work out the rest of my team to make it better. Okay, Arnold's runes got moved around as well, so I had to rebuild him again. And he's just on a will shield, alright, and energy just for extra HP. I didn't put him on a destroy because he's not really in a team that would sustain a lot like that heavily, so I just gave him energy to make use of the energy runes, and also because it just gives him more HP for his extortion. But he can hold the shield runes for me in certain comps as well. Okay, this is my Raid Hua. So Raid Hua hasn't changed at all. I didn't really find any upgrades, I think, so she's pretty much just the same, except for maybe maybe some of the grinds might have been upgraded, maybe. Because I was doing a whole bunch of re-grinding to try to get max rolls on a lot of runes. I think Hua would have gotten a lot of those too. Okay, this is my Colleen. This Colleen is used for for raid R5, right? Frontline, and she survives the frontline pretty well with because she's got very high defense. And I also sometimes use her for actually I use her a fair bit for the new raids. She's very good for that because she provides a free turn attack buff, which is really good. Alright, it's a lot better than just Soon's heal in my opinion, because it's like she provides a lot more damage because it's free turn attack buff as opposed to 2 turns. Okay, so this is Shiwa. Shiwa hasn't changed. This is for my Necro team. Alright, I did try to use her a little bit for the new raids, but it didn't really work very well to me. So I think she could work pretty well if you rune her for it, but I'm just going to keep her rune for Necro for now. Okay, so this is my my Necro Hua. So this one has got absolutely no speed. I think I rerun her a little bit to get her to no speed, but it's actually better to give her a little bit of speed depending on the rest of your Necro units, if you can. So you just have to make sure she's the slowest unit on your team, so you don't have to make her like 0 speed, right? But a little bit of speed is nice if you make everyone a little bit fast. So actually the goal is to make everyone about 130 speed, because I believe that's what the speed cap is in Necro. But just try to sync them towards around that. So maybe like drop, or if you have enough runes to actually fiddle around with the speeds of them, try to get them like about 1 speed apart, and that way you know that they're gonna move in in a certain order. Okay, so I rerun my Trevor for raids, and he's actually really good for raids, or some raids, right? He's good in the front line. He can be tanky. Yeah, he's tanky and does a lot of damage and self-buffing, which is really nice. And on Vampire, he self-heals a lot, right? With his second skill, you pretty much go back to full health. So and with second skill, he'll be max crit with self-buff, right? I don't use him in a lot of the raids yet, but he's good in some of them. Like the wind one, he's good for that because he can self-heal and remove the electric shock on himself. So he's good for that, and he does pretty good damage because he's on attack crit damage attack. Okay, so my Kumar got re-runed. So he was originally on Violent Destroy, but I'm going back to Violent Will for Arena defense and also Guild War defense purposes. Actually, Destroy is still pretty good for Guild War's defense, but I wanted to make my team like heavy on Will, just to trap people sometimes, occasionally, right? Doesn't work all the time, but it can work sometimes. And yeah, so he's just as tanky as possible with good speed and 85 crit rate, so that he can always at least crit win, and then against everyone else he can crit like with a fairly high rate, because you want your Beast Monk to crit so that he can buff the speed buff on himself. Okay, Raki's runes I don't believe has changed since last time, but I built her with a decent amount of speed and enough damage to kill most Purnas through a Will rune, right? And yeah, so I use her against Purnas, which are the sole threat on the team, right? So as long as I can deal with the other 2 units, you know, I use her to kill the Purna so that they can't revive after Soul Crusher. Okay, so this is my Hua He. So Hua He, I actually built her again. I actually put a lot of mana into reruning a bunch of units after rune removal, and Hua He was one of them. So I use her in my fire raid, and I think a couple of the other raids she's actually pretty good for that. and the reason is because she heals, does attack buff, and does pretty decent damage, right? Because her heal scales have attack power, so it's similar to Miang, both the heal scale of attack power. So they're a good hybrid, right? It's like leaning more towards damage, but you know they can heal at the same time. And because a lot of your raid units will be very squishy, they're all going to be DPS, or most of them are going to be DPS. She actually heals for a very high amount because their health pools are very low, right? It's similar to having Chasun heal, right? Because her heal scales off her HP, right? Since I'm healing off attack power, or based on attack power, the actual number is actually quite a lot. It's not based on, it's not like a fixed percentage of health. So that's why she's pretty strong in raids. Okay, so Tsarion, I haven't changed Tsarion's runes because I left him speed sync to my Fiomars, and I gave him the destroy set before, so that in cases where I trade off Fiomars for their Fiomars or whatever their threat is, at least Tsarion can destroy the HP, right? Because I usually pair it with Chasun. So Chasun is there to help, will be there to help keep them both alive, and then I can slowly whittle away the damage, right? Usually it's 2 supports left, so being able to get rid of the HP slowly helps to actually win the battle in the long run. Okay, this is route number 2. So route number 2, this is just for Necro, right? So yeah, like he's got mostly very spare runes. And yeah, I still need to grind some of the runes as well. I just haven't found the violent grind, so it's time for it. Okay, so this is my Lisa. Lisa's for Frontline, right, in R5. Occasionally I use her in PvP if I need a cleanse and also a buff remover at the same time. She's also a crit lead for Guild Wars, so it's actually not bad. Right, I can use her with Kumar. Usually I'll use her with Kumar plus one other. Right, so maybe like against like a Sierra team, I might use Rune, Kumar, and Lisa, and it works. I just have to kill the Sierra first. Okay, so this is my Raccoony. Sorry, I just had to clear my thread a bit. So he's actually very squishy at the moment. I want to make him a little bit tankier, but because he had to get a very low priority in violent runes. So I need to try to find some new ones for him eventually. Because a lot of his runes are missing HP or defense substats. So I need to improve him that way. Because I use him with my Chroma and Kumar, and usually he's like the first to die. If he randomly gets defense broken and it's like a Kumar there, he takes a lot of damage. So yeah, I need to try to give him some more HP later on. Okay, this is my Bulldozer. So Bulldozer hasn't gotten any upgrade. Actually, no. So he did get changed, but he's roughly about the same as what he was before in terms of damage. He does about 19k per hit, or maybe 19.5k per hit, around about there on double guard. He used to be on Will Shield, but I decided to give him guard to try to give him a bit more damage. I think it's actually a little bit more damage than what it used to be. But definitely Will Runes, because I always use Marching Shout from Immensity on the Copper, and therefore Copper doesn't really need the Will Runes, but because Bulldozer is moving second, he needs the Will Rune. Okay, this is my Rakan. So Rakan, actually I rune him for PvP, but I'm probably gonna try to rune him for the new raids, maybe for the Wind Dungeon, right? Maybe I'll put him on Violent, not Violent, sorry, Vampire, so that he can leech health back, and probably gonna rebuild him to attack crit damage attack, or attack crit rate attack, something like that, depending on how easy I can get him to 85 crit rate. But at the moment he's just sort of built as a Bruiser for PvP, but I don't use him a lot. I don't really like him that much, to be honest. I just built him because I just needed to build something, and he's a nat 5, so I did it for that. But I think he might be good for R5, well not R5, sorry, the new Wind Raid, so I might build him for that, like rebuild him later on. Okay, Sekhmet. So Sekhmet's gotten some speed upgrades, I think, but she's on Swift. She used to be on Swift Will, but I changed it to Broken to give her a bit more speed. I'm not sure if it's Bella or not, but that's just how she is for now. I don't really use her in PvP, like Guild Wars offense as much now. I used to try to use her, but I think she's more of a she's good for defense mostly for me, at least for the way I've ruined my units. Okay, my homunculus. So this is a new unit, obviously. You can see the stats here. I haven't actually upgraded all the skills yet. I've upgraded the first one, right? I haven't put Devilmon in it yet, but as well. But I'll probably will put Devilmon into it. I gave him the continuous damage with attack speed scaling. Okay, I haven't actually tested the damage yet. I'm waiting to upgrade the second and the third skill. So the second skill I've evolved it to the second stage. But the next stage, which is what I'm currently farming for, it adds the speed scaling to it. So it should hit a lot harder when that happens. And then the third skill, I can't actually upgrade it until I upgrade the second skill. It's going to take a very long time before I actually do it, but when I do, I'll show you like how much damage it does. But the one I'm going for is the AoE with speed scaling. Okay, and these are the runes. It's just on like a broken set of damage runes. I'm not sure how I'm going to rerun it later on. I'm not sure if I'll just do like a speed build for AO, or maybe like a violent build if I can spare the runes for him, for both raids and also for PvP. Like violence never bad for PvP, so I'll see what I can do with runes like later on. So this is the Fire Panda. You probably noticed I haven't awakened him yet. I just don't have enough magic highs yet, and I haven't gotten around to farming them because of the new raids. But these are his stats. I built him as a tanky defense breaker for certain team comps. Like I originally decided to pair him with the Rakan so that he can defense break for Rakan, while Rakan still gives him the HP buff, and he can also do the heal recovery buff, which is kind of nice as support. Gives my team a bit of sustainability, and yeah, he's just try to be as tanky as possible. I didn't really go for damage, but he does have a little bit of crit rate substats. Okay, my Bernard got a bit of a speed upgrade. He's now 290. He used to be 287, right? So finally got in a little bit of upgrade for him, but still not. I'm still not 100% happy with his speed. I want to get him to 300 plus, but Giants has not been kind to me, and now I've got a lot of work to do with raids, so I haven't had time to actually farm runes. But I will get back into it soon. Okay, Delphoid, I rune her for PvP, like Guild Wars offense, and I use her when against the Hordam teams, right? So basically, what I do is I bring Copper. I use Delphoid as the leader to boost Copper's damage, and then she's just there as a support to reset Phil Mars. Like usually it's like Phil Mars, Hordam, Chasun that I bring her against, right? And she can help reset the Phil Mars. She can heal, provide immunity to protect my Copper and my Bulldozer. Not Bulldozer, the Immensity. And the defense lead helps make everyone tanky. She can heal, she can slow debuff, so it's pretty nice. Eventually I want to switch her to double determination rune so that she can boost my Copper even more, but that's gonna be a bit of a luxury thing once I can start farming for the new runes. So this is my first Lucian. This Lucian is what I would use if I was gonna use him in Guild Wars, right? So if I'm gonna Lucian someone in Guild Wars, it'll be this one. And of course I just try to make him as fast as I could, and with as much damage as I could with 70% crit rate. So it's tuned towards having Seek in my team, right? And 230 speed I think is a pretty good number to aim for. It's sort of at least for Guardian 3, it's sort of the usual requirement against most defenses, so that you don't get cut in as much. I think the only thing that really cuts into me is like a fast double Nam Will, Praha or Aerial, if they're really fast. Okay, this is my Brian. Brian hasn't gotten any changes. He's just basically really tanky and pretty fast. All right, I think because I use him in Guild Wars offense a lot, and if you want to use him on offense, he needs to be decently fast, right? Just because he needs to keep up, right? Especially because he's gonna be on despair. You want him to refresh his cooldown as fast as possible. But you can put him on Violet if you want, but I'd rather not, devote Violet runes to him. Okay, Ameda. So Ameda, you just want him to be as tanky as possible. I do give him a defense rune as one of the main runes. One of the reasons because it's got good HP on it. But the other reason is because you don't want to do too much HP on your Ameda because you're going to bring it to tank a Perna. And if you're tanking a Perna, the Perna does HP scaling damage, right? Enemy HP scaling damage. So if you have him on triple HP, he's going to take too much. So putting him on at least one defense rune, I think one defense rune is enough. It helps mitigate, it's reducing the health pool while also increasing your defense, survivability against the Perna. Alright, so Trisoon hasn't gotten any changes since last time. She's just like super tanky, good speed, and violent will. Okay, so I changed it to violent will because I wanted to use her. I wanted her to be safer in Guild Wars offense, and that way I can bring like will shield on like a support unit like Chloe or Tessarion, and that way I can be protected against Orions, like at least a decent amount. It's not foolproof, but it's better than before. Okay, so she used to be on Endure for the extra stats, but yeah, I changed up to Will for PvP now. Okay, this is my copper. So this copper hits for about 53,000. I think it's the highest I've seen. Or actually no, it was like almost 54,000. I think, like 53,800 or something like that. That's with like pretty good towers though, like level 9 crit damage tower. I think level 6 defense tower. Flag. I should say. This is the guild flags. And with Delphoile, he hits for about 58,000. So it will kill most horde arms, or it should kill every horde arm really. But I haven't really encountered one that it's failed against. Okay, this is my Wind Monkey. So Wind Monkey, he's gotten a little bit of speed, I think. I changed into like a really tanky build for Guild Wars defense, and it's been working pretty well. The defense I use him on is getting me most of my draws, like the wins. I try to give him some decent attack power substats so that he can do at least a little bit of damage. And because I sometimes use him on Guild Wars offense too. Okay, this is my Immensity. I made him as fast as I could on Swift, and yeah, so that's just to help outspeed some segments, because like Swift segment is a dangerous unit. Like it threatens to interrupt my team. So I wanted him to be as fast as possible. It's still not as far. Like still not really that fast that it could outspeed some of the top segments yet. So I think ideally I want to try to get him a little bit faster, but he's not a priority. He's faster than most already. So this is Lucian number 2. So Lucian number 2 is 1 speed slower than my other Lucian. The thing with speeding up Lucians is you want to speed it up, but you have to speed both of them up at the same time, which is not that easy. I still want to get them a bit faster. That way, there's less chance. Like the faster you get them, the less chance people will interrupt you with Nemesis runes. But they'll just need very high rune quality to get there though. Okay, Ardella, I've re-runed her for the new raids, right? So on Vampire, she can help. It helps keep herself up, right? During electric shock, and she does pretty good damage as well. She's also really good against the water boss because her first skill does defense break because of elemental advantage. That's this first skill changes based on the elemental advantage, right, or disadvantage. So she's pretty good in both the wind and the water raids. Okay, this is the third Lucian, so this is not quite up to scratch with the other Lucians, but the only time I really use him is with my two triple Lucian against like very slow teams, like slow tanky store teams, or against Leo teams when I use Megan to buff. Okay, so yeah, he's got like some spare rage runes. Okay, this is my Tasha. So Tasha, he's one of my main offenses, one of my favorite units actually. I use him on offense and Guildwars offense sometimes when I need a wind speed nuker, and I use him on in my giant speed 10, and he was also used in quite in a couple of the new raids because he does good burst damage. I would like him to have a bit more HP for the new raids, but he seems to do okay for most of them with this amount of HP. Surprisingly, it's like it's like 10,000 HP. Okay, this is Eladriel. So Eladriel, I don't really use him a lot, but he doesn't need to have like super high speed, right? So I just sort of gave him what I could. Actually, I need to upgrade this rune. I forgot to upgrade it. But yeah, I don't really use him a lot. I was trying him on Guildwars defense before. He's pretty good for that. I don't really have a good. I don't have good DPS to pair him with on Guildwars defense. So until that happens, he's sort of like there in case I need a reviver for PvP. Okay, so Bella. So Bella is used pretty much just for dragons, right? So I just gave him as much accuracy as I could, decent speed and decent HP. And yeah, because you don't need to give him like super high quality runes for Dragons B10 once you get to like end game anyway. But yeah, I just use him for like my safe Dragons B10 team. He is useful in a couple of raids as well as a healer. So if you need a healer, especially on the water boss, he can heal while he's also increasing attack buff. So you know, he can remove the frozen effect. So he's good for that if you need a healer for it. Okay, Iona. I made Iona like tankier than before. She's now at 50,000 HP. She used to be up, I think, 47,000. I dropped the speed a little bit for it, but I think it's worth it. I don't think revivers like Iona really need to be that fast. So yeah, that's why I sort of lowered her speed a bit and gave her more HP. Alright, she can even gain a little bit more HP because this is not grinded yet. But yeah, I use her for Guildwars defense and also on offense with, you know, like for safe teams with Field Mars. Okay, Chroma. I wanted to change a Chroma, but she couldn't get the stats I wanted on the build I wanted to build her on. And basically, what I wanted to do was change her revenge set to destroy, but I didn't have the like quality destroyers to give her. Like she wouldn't be max crit if I did that, and you know, if you watch me enough, you will know that I generally only like max crit rate on most units, especially the units that I'm going to be using as my main damage dealers. Right, I strongly dislike non-crits. Okay, so Diaz. So Diaz, I use him in R5, right, and I actually built him as a DPS, right, because I'm running 4 units in a front line. I actually don't need to give him much defense, so I thought, why not just make him a damage dealer, so I can actually at least do something, right? So he can do a bit, like he can contribute a bit more. I guess the choices are between making him a damage dealer or making him a fast debuffer. Both can work, but I like damage to speed up runs, so that's why I built him like this. And it's nice to have at least one revenge set. Right, the other sets don't have, like, I think in an ideal world it would be fight runes or one of the, like, any of the aura runes will help, right? It helps survivability or helps damage. But I haven't got those runes yet. I'm still waiting to farm them. Okay, Veramos. So Veramos, I just use him for Guildwars defense mostly. Alright, so, and also Dragons B10. Actually, I also use him for like just PvE content mostly, like TOA and HOH. So he doesn't get like a top priority in runes. I would like to give him better runes if I could actually, but I just don't have the runes to spare him right now. Because it would be nice to give him a bit of damage if I could, because he's actually a pretty good threat on Guild Wars defense. If you can give him like good enough speed and decent DPS stats. Okay, dual turns. Just gonna show them real quick. So basically, what I did. This is just a troll defense. I just made them as tanky as I could while using a will rune, and try to get them to max crit when taking into account a Praha lead. It's just for fun, really. It's not like a serious thing. So yeah, it's not that interesting to look at. But surprisingly, a lot of people do fail against that team, so it's just like amusing to watch. I'll just show you how to dual turn quickly before I show the better. Okay, you can just pause if you need to. So you pretty much just build him as tanky as you can. Obviously, for like a proper Guild Wars build, it'd be different. You probably put him on Violent Will or Violent Revenge, triple HP, and yeah, like speed sinker to whatever your damage dealer or bruiser is gonna be. Okay, so better. I built her the similar way that I did with Chloe. So she synced to move after Field Mars, right? So that way he doesn't waste the buffs, right? Because if you buff first and then he moves, he can violent out of it and then he will just waste the buff. So I think it's better to actually sync it to move after Field Mars. Okay, and lastly, Duet. So I actually built him and ruined him for arena defense, and it seems to be working alright so far. I put him on Despair Will just to make him annoying, and yeah, he's just there to for arena defense to interrupt like combos, right? Because he gains a lot of attack bar after the opponent's move. So he can just be there he's just there to be annoying. It forces people to run like all will runes, like if they're running like a team that's slower than mine. But I still have buff removal as well. So if they concede turn 1, I use Praha's there to buff remove, and then Horus can still he's fast enough to keep up and push back their attack bars and stuff with Desert Wind. So that's why he's built. He's sort of like the flavor of the month at the moment. Actually, like when I got him, I was a bit like underwhelmed, but now that I've sort of seen him in action, actually I feel very fortunate that I have him. Alright, so that's all my runes. That took a lot longer than I thought it would. I feel that every rune removal is going to be about this long when I show runes. So be patient. I don't know, like some people don't like really long videos. But if you want to see all the runes, like that it's here for you. Otherwise, you can look me up on the World Boss occasionally, or sometimes I'll be hanging in the top 100 of Arena. Sometimes it just depends whether I have a troll defense on or not. But usually I'll climb back to it, up to the top rankings anyway. Alright, so that's all for me today. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll be doing another rune video next month sometime, but it'll be a bit later because I'll be away for a bit, like overseas. But we'll see when that happens. Alright, so thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.